We'll do it. A call to order the regular meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Morris, Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. The time is now 7 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ravitz?
Here.
Mr. Mancuso?
Here.
Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Olivo-Moore?
Here.
Mayor Gyorfy?
Here. We will now move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. If we can all please rise, and Committee Member Olivo-Moore will lead us in the reading.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Approval of our minutes. First item on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes of the January Township Committee meeting. May I have a motion?
Circulated, sir.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving right along to the portion of our meetings where we go through recognitions and proclamations. February is Black History Month, and on the agenda tonight is a proclamation authored by Deputy Mayor Wilson. So I will invite Deputy Mayor Wilson to please read the proclamation into the record for us.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm honored to do that. Whereas Black History Month is a time to commemorate the historic struggles of African Americans to gain freedom and equality, to recognize the importance of these struggles to our country's history and ideals, and to celebrate the many achievements African Americans have made to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development as a nation. And whereas in 1915, Dr. Carter Goodwin Woodson, noted Black scholar and son of former slaves, founded the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. In 1926, Dr. Woodson initiated Black History Week, a celebration which for many years took place during the second week of February, chosen to coincide with the birthdays of Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. And whereas in 1976, this organization expanded this occasion to Black History Month, an event which has been celebrated nationally every February ever since. Whereas the month of February holds great significance due to the many milestones it contains, including on February 14th, 1817, Frederick Douglass, noted writer and orator who escaped slavery, was born. On February 1st, 1865, the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, was adopted. On February 23rd, 1868, the civil rights leader and co-founder of the NAACP, W.E.B. Du Bois, was born. On February 3rd, 1870, the 15th Amendment granting Black men the right to vote was passed. On February 12th, 1909, the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birthday, the NAACP was founded in New York City. On February 4th, 1913, Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her bus seat to a white man, was born. On February 1st, 1960, a civil rights movement milestone occurred when a group of Black college students began a sit-in at a segregated Woolworths lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. On February 10th, 1964, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Civil Rights Act. Whereas these events, among many others, as well as the lives and contributions of such accomplished and visionary leaders as Thurgood Marshall, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Maya Angelou, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, and Harriet Tubman, among many others, illustrate and symbolize why we celebrate Black History Month. And whereas In 1986, President Ronald Reagan declared that, quote, "The foremost purpose of Black History Month is to make all Americans aware of this struggle for freedom and equality, as well as to celebrate the many achievements of African Americans in every field, from science and the arts to politics and religion. Whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our nation's attention to the ongoing need to enhance our understanding of Black history, to overcome racism, and to build a society that lives up to our founding ideals. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in this spirit, the Morris Township Committee supports this February 2022 celebration of Black History Month and encourages our residents of all ages to observe this occasion through activities based in thoughtful, open-minded inquiry and reverence, as well as sincere efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson, for not only reading that so eloquently, but taking the time to form those words and read it into the record for us, both last year and this year. So thank you for all the time you put into that. Moving on to the next item of our agenda is our recognition for the evening. And as residents who join us regularly know, we do recognize members of the public each month for their outstanding contributions to our community. And this evening, I am happy and honored to present and recognize a member of Morris Township who has not only donated a lot of his time on one of our volunteer committees, but also donated his time serving our country and just being an active member of our community. So I think Chuck Schmidt is on with us, and I believe he was turned onto the panel too, if he wants to speak after I read his recognition into the record. But thank you, Chuck, for joining us. And it's a pleasure to recognize him as a driving force behind some of the most recent initiatives that we've had completed over the past few years by our Historic Preservation Commission. Chuck Schmidt, our 2021 chair of the HPC and longtime residents of the Foster Fields neighborhood, spearheaded several important initiatives during his time on the Historic Preservation Commission. These included the extensive effort to updating the township's Historic Preservation Ordinance, which governs the designation of historic properties in Morris Township. This comprehensive work clarified the historic districts in Morris Township so that the most important historic properties remain designated and are provided with the resources and advice from the township if needed for renovations and updates. Additionally, Chuck led the HPC with their creation of photo albums of our historic districts for residents to view and for archival purposes. These photos are now available on our township website and in the municipal building for the enjoyment of residents now and in the future. Chuck was also a driving force behind updating our historic district signs in Prudentown and Normandy Heights, which will be installed later this year. And he also worked on documenting the locations of our old firehouses across the township as part of efforts to retain the historic knowledge of the history of our fire department. In addition to his service on the HPC, Chuck has also served as a volunteer at Foster Fields Historical Farm. A native of Iowa, Chuck received his degree in engineering and an MBA from the University of Iowa before starting a career in project management. Chuck is also a veteran, as I stated earlier, having served our country in the Navy during the Vietnam War. After finishing out his term as chair of the HPC, Chuck recently relocated to Connecticut with his wife, Jan, to be closer to family. Chuck, on behalf of the Township Committee and the people of Morris Township, thank you for your contributions to our community and your determined efforts to preserve our history for our township for the enjoyment of current residents and future residents. And thank you so much. I don't know if Kathy, did you want to say a few words? Because I know you worked with Chuck on the Historic Preservation Ordinance.
I was going to comment on many of the same things you already mentioned, but I would just say that, Chuck, we can't thank you enough for all your hard work and dedication, and the results of your efforts and your time on our HPC was just really terrific. So we miss you and we wish you all the best in your new home.
So Chuck, you want to say a few words?
Indeed, I would, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you see me? I'm not sure what is being seen.
No, we can't see you.
No, we
yet.
can't see you.
Well, you're not missing much. But sincerely, Mark, I would like to thank you for opening the door in the first place for me to be able to join the HPC. It has been a great pleasure for 3 years to work with the people on the commission, Carol Barkin and all of the others, most of whom has served many, many years on the commission and know far much more about historic preservation than I ever will. So it's been a real inspiration to work with those people. Carol Barkin in particular has been a huge help to me and has taught me pretty much all I know about preservation and the needs associated with that. Mark, you did a great job, I think, of summarizing the things that I feel good about having accomplished with the commission, including the ordinance. But I think my greatest satisfaction came from working with all of our commission members to go out into the field and visit each of our 179 historic sites, document their condition, take photographs, and then together we pulled them into the photo albums that you referenced. So that was a fun project, and I feel very good about leaving that as a part of the legacy of the township. Special thanks to my wife Jan for supporting all the time that I devoted to the commission business, to the commission members, to the members of the HPC, and to all of you for this wonderful recognition. It is very much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Chuck, from Connecticut, and we hope you and Jan are settling in nicely and are happy to be closer with family, which we know is very important to you. But again, thank you for all your efforts, donating your time on behalf of our town. Those efforts are things that will be enjoyed for future generations, and everyone understands that history is part of the character of Morris Township, and your work to help preserve that, will pay off dividends down the road. So thank you.
Chuck, this is Peter. Thank you very, very much for all your work and all your efforts. We wish you the best and all the good luck and blessings in your next life, as we say. God bless you, sir.
Thank you so much, Pete.
Chuck, this is Bud Ravitz. I don't think that we've had the pleasure to work together, but I certainly laud those people who give of themselves in service to making their community better. So I know that wherever you are in there in Connecticut, that they're going to benefit from having you as a resident. Good luck to you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for the kind words. And I'll just play that back to all of you who are serving your community so in such an important way in what you're doing. So thanks again.
Yeah, and Chuck, the bad part about having remote meetings is that we can keep sending you the links to join, and you can join them from the state. But, no, thank you for joining. Thank you for all of your work, and we look forward to speaking with you some point down the road. So I know we'll be in touch.
Thanks so much.
It's been my honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to our next agenda item, which is public comment and inquiry. On the call with us this evening, we do have members of the public. We have about 8 folks on our list right now, and I see one hand being raised by Mr. O'Reilly. Before I go to Mr. O'Reilly, I will state, which I should have stated at the beginning, we are still following COVID protocols here with our township committee meetings. In the committee room here in the municipal building is myself, Deputy Mayor Wilson, Township Administrator Quinn, and our IT Manager Greg Sims. We are the only folks in our municipal building. The rest of the committee is joining us virtually, along with our municipal attorney and our special counsel. We look forward to the day that we are able to be back here in person sometime soon, but we are being cautious as we have been in the past 2 years, and we'll continue to continue with this format until we are all satisfied with the numbers of transmission with COVID, but also having some upgrades here in Town Hall technologically so we can facilitate hybrid meetings a little bit better in the future. So with that, Mr. O'Reilly, I see your hand, so I will recognize you. I will also note for this public comment at this time, Please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have any questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. This first public comment period is for agenda items only, and we will open it up to general public comment after we get through our business.
Jim O'Reilly, 50 Independence Way. Just thought you should know. Oh, it does say James O'Reilly is talking. But when you, Mark, were talking, or when Kathy was talking once, it said Mark Daly is talking. That's what appears on my screen. Just thought I'd let you know.
Got it. Thank you, Mr. O'Reilly. I think we caught that at the end, and we'll make sure we're pinning the people who are speaking so that you actually see them. The problem is when we talk into the microphones at the dais, it's all hooked up to one computer and not our own individual computers. So that's why it says.
That computer's name is Mark Daly.
Yes, our computer shares the same name as our the head of our IT department, but yes, we will be cognizant of that for the rest of the meeting, and thank you for pointing that out. All right, any other members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, is there a motion to close the public comment period?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have one ordinance for public hearing and final consideration on tonight's agenda. Madam Clerk, please read the title of the ordinance into the record for us.
Ordinance number 01-22, an ordinance amending chapter 447 swimming pools, Article 1, municipal pool of the Code of Ordinances of the Township of Morris to replace section 447-5 membership fees in its entirety.
May I have a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 1-22 on final reading?
I will move the ordinance, Mr. Mayor.
Excuse me, Mayor, you need to have a public hearing first.
I thought we'd do the public after we introduce it, or
No, you have to have a motion for the public hearing and then the motion to adopt.
thank you, Mr. Cantor. So at this time, we'll open up to the public hearing for any comments from the public on this ordinance. Please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. And if you have any questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. Now, I will see, I'm not seeing any hands raised.
I move the ordinance, sir.
Let's close public comment first.
Aye.
Then I'll do that.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And now then, may I see a motion to adopt ordinance 01-22?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. I, Mark Gyorfy, Mayor, declare ordinance number 01-22 approved and adopted and direct the Township Clerk to publish proper notice thereof in the official newspaper. Moving on to resolutions, we have 17 resolutions on this evening's agenda. I request that we vote on resolution number 47-22 separately, as I need to recuse myself from this resolution due to my role in the fire department. And I call for a motion to approve all other resolutions by one motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so then may I have a motion to approve resolution numbers 42-22 through 46-22 and resolution numbers 48-22 through 58-22.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. Next, I would request that Deputy Mayor Wilson request a motion on resolution number 47-22, which I will be abstaining from.
Can we have a motion for resolution 47-22, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, no, it's a roll call, sorry. Madam Clerk, we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy,
Abstain.
He's-
Okay.
Back to you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. Moving on to our next agenda item of the consent calendar. We have 8 items on the consent calendar this evening. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar for the evening?
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Consideration of monthly reports. We have received reports from the fire chief, joint court, Morristown and Morris Township Library, and the tax collector for January 2022, and a report from the fire chief for the fourth quarter of 2021. Can I have a motion to approve the monthly reports?
So
As
moved.
circulated, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you very much. Moving right along on our agenda, next item is claims for payment. List of bills and vouchers. The total amount of the bills and vouchers for this evening is $12,542,677.67. We are also the tax collector, not only for ourselves, but for the school district, the library, and the county. May I have a motion to approve the list of bills and vouchers?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second.
Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Mr. Ravitz,
Yes.
Mr. Mancuso,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Olivo-Moore,
Yes.
Mayor Gyorfy.
Yes. Received for the record, the following items have been received for the record for tonight's meeting. The 2021 annual report by the Environmental Commission, 6 tax appeals for corporate properties, and 3 tax appeals for residential properties. And I don't believe we need to vote on that. So now moving along is standing committee reports and commentary by members of the Township Committee. At this time, the standing committee reports will be provided by members of the committee along with their general commentary. And I'm trying to remember what order we went last time, but I think for this evening, I will offer it up to Miss Olivo-Moore, who led us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So I will, since you did that, I will let you go first with your reports and commentary for us.
Thank you. As chair of the Department of Public Works, chair of the standing committee for the Department of Public Works, I want to thank the department for their wonderful service during recent weather events. They have served the township well and met the needs of our residents. Likewise, the sewers continue to run as they should. No news is good news in that department, but that means that our people at the sewer utility are running a scientific and professional operation, and I thank them. In COVID news, I would like to thank the amazing doctors, nurses, respiratory therapists, nursing aides, pharmacists, food service personnel, every single person working at our local hospitals and clinics who have served the people of our township and the surrounding communities through the Delta wave and the Omicron coronavirus wave. While I know many people are exhausted by this virus, I am so grateful for the care our neighbors have received. Our local ERs, hospitals, ICUs were flooded with patients, which meant that many people who had surgeries could not get their surgeries. Many people who went to the ER with non-COVID problems had very long waits. This was very frustrating for many patients, and it put incredible pressure on our doctors and nurses. Thank you to our medical professionals and allied services for your service to our community and to our country. Black History Month. Thank you very much, Committee Person Wilson, for the Black History Month proclamation. When we look at American history, there is no time or place when African Americans were not an integral part of the story. Whatever military, scientific, spiritual, or cultural initiatives Americans were undertaking, Black Americans were right there making major contributions. Their contributions were often ignored, overlooked, minimized. Their struggles were minimized. And indeed, they were frequently even denied the opportunity to make contributions. the full understanding of the American promise was revealed to us through the actions of Black Americans demanding the full portion of their civil rights as promised in the Declaration of Independence. We need Black History Month to help us, all of us, understand American history fully. In upcoming events, Monday, February 28th, the Hope One van will be at the Morristown Green providing services, and you can learn how to administer Narcan. This is a simple way to save a life, and you can learn how to do it. So if you are free on Monday, February 28th, between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m., stop by the Hope One van on the Morristown Green. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ms. Olivo-Moore, for your comments and your reports. I will now pass it along to Mr. Ravitz.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd just like to notify the clerk that my name is William. My middle initial would be V, not R. So on the proclamations or for future proclamations, just please make a note of that. Although I would prefer my name to be William Bud. Anyway, so for infrastructure on committee reports, as I had stated last year, we are fast outgrowing our current municipal building. As the township grows, we've investigated some unoccupied office space for temporary relief, but that's not going to work out as hoped. And so we're going to go and look at hiring on an architect, somebody who specializes in this, and see if we can come up with a plan to, expand our own facilities. For the Parks and Rec, winter is always a busy time for Parks and Rec. They work tirelessly through all but the worst of the winter storms, and they deserve our admiration. So thank you to the staff of Parks and Rec who keep our fields and our recreation through the winter looking as good as it could be for the spring. That's speaking of spring, the spring program is going to be mailed to residents, but it will also be online next month. The renovated Ginty tennis courts will also be reopened for play in the spring, and we're looking for dates to have a dedication and an unveiling ceremony. So I'll keep you posted on that. There are numerous township-wide volunteer and scout park project opportunities. It's a great opportunity to get involved and make a difference. So inquire with Parks and Rec for a full list of volunteer projects. We're finalizing the Parks and Rec budget for the year. We've got a long wish list of projects that'll have a big impact on the quality of our parks and our life here in the township. But sadly, we only have so much money. I will say that the renovation of the Collinsville Tucker Parks is of the highest priority. We intend to bring all of our parks to a standard that will meet the community needs for the next 10 to 15 years. And as far as my public commentary today, I first and foremost, before it slips my mind, I want to congratulate the newlyweds of Alex Ravitz, my son, to Miss Allison Lake, who were married last Saturday. I just wanted to make that part of a public record somewhere that I am beaming with pride for my son and my new daughter-in-law. Okay. And good evening to everybody, and for who are those in attendance today, for your participation in local community government. National politics may get all the spotlight, but it's what we do here locally that has the biggest impact on the quality of the life of our lives. I believe we have a lot more in common than can ever divide us. And I trust by now, since I'm going second, so already know that February is Black History Month, but more than that, Black history is American history. They're not separate. Black people have contributed much to the American society while often, considered second-class citizens. I can read from a long list of contributions to America by Black Americans, but I'll keep it to just a few of the many whom you may not be aware. There's Garrett Morgan, born 1877, died 1963. He invented the gas mask and the traffic light. Jan Ernest Matzlinger, 1852 to 1889, invented a shoemaking machine that increased shoemaking speed by about 900%. And then there's Lewis Latimer, 1848 to 1928, who invented the carbon filament of the light bulb. Last I want to talk about tonight is Elijah McCoy, 1843 to 1929. And he invented the oil dripping cup for trains. Now, you may ask, what is an oil dripping cup for trains and why is that important? I'll tell you why, because you asked, right? Other people had tried unsuccessfully to duplicate his invention, but it failed at it. And it got to the point where customers started asking for the real McCoy. And now you've learned that's how the expression originated, Elijah McCoy. Justice is at the very core of our republic. Equal justice under the law is what's promised and is what is written on the Supreme Court building. There is unity when there is justice. In a letter from the Birmingham jail in 1963, Dr. Martin Luther King wrote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects us all indirectly. Never again can we afford to live with the narrow, provincial, outside agitator idea. Anyone who lives inside the United States can never be considered an outsider anywhere within its bounds." To me, Black History Month is more than recognizing accomplishments or accomplished Black Americans throughout our history. There are a host of Black issues that are on the forefront of American conversation today, and they all need to be addressed. Inequality, systemic and institutional racism, lack of accountability, and injustice have given birth to the Black Lives Matter movement. High-profile personalities who claim not to be racist may knowingly or unknowingly be part of the problem. Racism isn't or shouldn't be entertaining in any way, shape, or form. Such prejudices, however subtle, foster the acceptance of stereotypes that are damaging and persistent. Such damage might include how some improperly trained officers might react in a tense situation, or who gets hired, or who gets a house or an apartment. And marginalized people are wary of who to trust in government media. Disguising something that is prejudiced, knowingly again or unknowingly, in a palatable way does great damage. I would argue that the damage is harder to address than openly advocating for race supremacy. Keep in mind that disadvantaged people aren't looking for special treatment. They're looking for equal protection under the law. Equal protections for all of us does not infringe upon or diminish the rights of any of us. And finally, let's not marginalize the people who have less political or economic power as some of us might now enjoy. Rather, let's face up to and stand up to those who continue to profit from our division. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Committeeman Ravitz. Committeeman Mancuso.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a few comments. Very proud of Kathy and putting together that piece on Black History Month. I support it and feel very, very strongly about what's happening. Tara, I agree with you 110% about what's going on as far as hoping and praying that we can get over this COVID hump and make things better for all of us. Congratulations again to Chuck Schmidt for his excellent work and things he's done in town. Police department, we've had 3 promotions, as you saw on the agenda. Detective Bob Dombrowski to sergeant, Detective David Crowley to lieutenant, and Detective Ryan Farrell to sergeant. As I've said before, our police department matches up and probably exceeds any police department in this state. I'm very proud of our people, and it seems that we hire new people who have incredible talents, who become officers later on in life, and we never seem to run out of a pool of worthwhile candidates. So I'm very, very, very happy for that. Our budget, Mayor, myself, and Mr. Quinn and Fran have been working very, very hard. We had a meeting last week, and we're hoping, I'm not hoping, we will be introducing the budget next month and ratifying it at our April meeting. There's lots of moving parts. There's lots of situations, difficulties. And as was mentioned earlier, it's a very, very difficult time because there are so many things going on that are pulling our finances in different directions. So we will continue to work hard on it and do the best we possibly can. And I thank all the participants. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mancuso. Deputy Mayor Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 standing committee reports, environment and transportation. First, on environment, everyone on our environmental commission was shocked last week when Chairman Buzz Kenney announced that he has to resign. He is moving due to family reasons. Buzz has been just a terrific leader. He's done a fantastic job. He's beloved by all, and he will be sorely missed. Everyone wishes him all the best in the future. Tonight, we are appointing Brian Morgan to replace Buzz as chair. Based on state statute, which is the way all environmental commissions across our state are structured, the chair is appointed by the mayor with the approval of the governing body. Brian has been an extremely active member of our EC for several years. He's very knowledgeable about environmental issues. He's a super hard worker, and he's very thorough in his approach. While Brian does have big shoes to fill with Buzz's departure, we can all be grateful to have such a dedicated and well-qualified person to replace him. Congratulations to Brian on his new role. I know he'll do a great job. I also want to say a word of thanks and congratulations to Charlie Shatner, who will be moving from his current position as an associate member to fill the full member position that's open due to Buzz's departure. Charlie has been the major engine and creator of the EC's monthly newsletter. The product he's created is terrific. It's really interesting and informative, and it's very well received by everyone who subscribes. For anyone who's not receiving it, I encourage you to go to the EC page of the Township's website and sign up. Thanks to Charlie for all his good work, and congratulations to him on his new position. On transportation, in regard to our Transportation Advisory Committee, which is TAC, one of TAC's goals in the year ahead is to develop a written complete streets policy for Morris Township. In support of that goal, last week's TAC meeting included a presentation by Kathy Cacavelli, who is a past member of Madison's Complete Streets Committee. Hearing Kathy's thoughts on Madison's approach to creating and implementing their Complete Streets policy was really interesting and helpful to us. It was also a great reminder of the value I know all of us on this governing body place on the importance of working to build improved communication and collaboration with other towns. and especially with the, I think, 9 or 10 towns we share a border with. So thank you to Kathy for the time she spent with us, and thank you to TAC member Jim Hunt for arranging it. I wanted to comment briefly on office hours. Last Wednesday, we held our first office hours of the year. Every year we change the format slightly. This year's format is 4:30 to 5:30, open session, 5:30 to 6:30, 15-minute phone appointments. Open session includes discussion of topics brought up by whoever shows up. You can drop in for part of the time or the whole time, whatever works for you. Topics brought up at last week's session included: what are the township's committee's priorities for the coming year? How does the township's ash tree removal program work? And what can be done about noise from leaf blowers? Going forward, we have changed the date. For the year ahead, office hours will be held on the first Tuesday of the month. TC members, our township committee members, will be rotating our participation. A messenger email reminder will be sent the Friday before, and there will be a link there to the open session and a link to schedule a phone appointment if you'd like to do that. So our next office hours session will be Tuesday, March 1st, and we look forward to seeing you then. On other topics, I wanted to echo Committeeman Mancuso's congratulations to our police officers, all 3 of them who are being promoted. Thank you for your work and congratulations on your promotions. I also want to say a few words about history, a theme that's on my mind tonight. For anyone who loves history, February is a significant month. Nationally, it's the month when we commemorate Black history. Locally, it's a month when we have a great opportunity to revisit Revolutionary War history. Both are a reminder to me that history is not just about the past. History is about the present. It's about us and the changes in our own understanding and awareness of what actually did happen in the past. As part of my own reflection on Black History Month, a huge theme that stands out to me is omission. Large numbers of significant events and experiences were either glossed over or not covered at all as part of the traditional story of American history so many of us learned over the years. I'm glad to see that changing, as it should be. February is also a significant month locally for anyone who's interested in learning more about Revolutionary War history. Every year on President's Day, one of our really interesting local historic organizations, the Washington Association, hosts its annual luncheon. The Washington Association is all about preserving the legacy of George Washington and the story of the Revolutionary War that occurred right here in our own town. The highlight of their annual President's Day luncheon is a speaker who talks about some aspect of Revolutionary War history. I am a huge fan of this event. It literally brings together hundreds of people from all walks of life who are passionate about understanding Revolutionary War history. The event is open to the public. I encourage anyone who's interested and available to attend. This year's event will take place next Monday, February 21st, starting at 11:30 a.m. at Rod's. Every year, this event is a reminder to me of how much time and effort historians from around the world continue to devote to the study of the Revolutionary War, and how our understanding of what happened during that time continues to change and evolve. For example, on the theme of omission, one of the speakers a few years ago talked about the role of women in the Revolutionary War. I had never heard one word about that topic as part of my own education. I was fascinated by her presentation and struck by what a great example this was of how omission is such a glaring theme in our history that calls for our attention today. February is a month that overflows with historically significant events. It's also a great time for all of us to reflect on our own role as present-day participants in creating new ways of understanding people and events from the past, especially those that have been glossed over or omitted and have yet to receive the attention they deserve. I encourage all of us to give that some thought always, but especially during the month of February. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Wilson. And again, thank you for the proclamation that you read into the record this evening. Before I get into committee reports and full general commentary, I just did want to continue the theme and discuss or highlight a bit Black History Month before I go in, and thinking of what to say and what to read into the record. I did find something somewhat recent that I did want to read that I felt really gets the message across, and that was from the president's proclamation that he put out not too long ago on January 31st, ahead of Black History Month. And one of the passages I wanted to read was, quote, "Our nation was founded on an idea that all of us are created equal and deserve to be treated with equal dignity throughout our lives. It is a promise we have never fully lived up to, but one that we have never, ever walked away from. Long shadows of slavery, Jim Crow, and redlining, and the blight of systemic racism that still diminishes our nation today hold America back from reaching our full promise and potential. But by facing those tragedies openly and honestly, and working together as one people to deliver on America's promise of equity and dignity for all, we become a stronger nation and a perfect version of ourselves." I'll now get into my standing committee reports. This year, I chair communications and IT, engineering, and legislation. For communications, our biggest project that we're looking into and working with our professionals on is actually the IT segment of communications and IT. And what we have to do as we enter year 2 of COVID is start preparing to be back here in person. God willing, and hopefully with numbers continuing to decrease, we have to upgrade some of our infrastructure here in Town Hall to facilitate our hybrid meetings moving forward. Knowing full well, fully in person and fully remote are not going to be able to persist forever. And so what us as a committee have reached a consensus is hybrid is here to stay. And acknowledging that members of the public may not want to be here in person, or professionals or members of the governing body may not able to, maybe they have a health issue, they have to stay remote, or they're not comfortable coming in. We have to make sure we're prepared here in Town Hall so that everyone can participate as equally as possible. So in doing that, we need to make some IT upgrades here in the committee room, as well as in one of our conference rooms, to prepare for our volunteer boards and committees, so they too have the same opportunities that we do. And we will be working over the next few months to get those upgrades made before we do come back as a governing body, hopefully sometime in the near future. For engineering, like has been stated earlier by the other members of the committee, we're in budget season and we're going through all the engineering projects that are on the docket for the engineering department. I was going through those with Mr. Ravitz, and that is a full plate that that Jim Slate has, our township engineer, to sift through. Also happening over the past month for engineering, myself and Deputy Mayor Wilson joined Administrator Quinn and Engineer Jim Slate, as well as Bernie Singer in his office, to go over, have a public meeting on the Normandy Parkway project, which the plans have been submitted to the state, or are going to be submitted to the state. So that's an ongoing project that we have received public comment on, and we had a joint meeting kind of with engineering and transportation to have members of the public be able to speak to us over Zoom. Lastly, on engineering, residents of Gregory Avenue, Kennedy Road, and Pine Tree Lanes will have received or should be receiving notices of the pending and upcoming reconstruction project in that area. It is going to be a large amount of work being done to not only rebuild the road, but address the sidewalks and the power lines and what have you there. So those residents will be getting notice in the mail. They're able to review the plans and ask questions. And I think, as we've done with Normandy, if needed, if there's further details that are needed, we'd be more than happy to have a public meeting virtually again, as we've done with other streets in the past. For legislation, I did just want to highlight one thing that I noticed, or we're aware of, that neighboring towns have been doing, and that's in passing resolutions supporting the Drew Forest in Madison. Recently, we've been made known that Drew University is looking to sell off a large portion of their property, potentially to development. Why does this matter to us? The section of their property that they're looking to potentially sell is mature forest that has been preserved through works of a nonprofit, as well as the works of Madison itself, and it's very close to Lewanika, and can be a recreational spot for our residents. So recently, Chatham Township and Chatham Borough have issued resolutions of support. I'm hopeful that Morris Township will be able to do that at our next meeting. Even though it's not directly in our borders, the destruction of this natural habitat will impact our residents. Not only environmentally, but it'll be an area that we could use for recreation with paths and trails that we would no longer be able to have. So it's a worthwhile endeavor. We feel their pain, and we definitely stand with Madison in trying to help them do what they can to preserve this preserve this natural habitat. I did want to highlight one of the first ordinance of the year dealt with the swim pools. And then in a resolution this evening, we passed our pool fees, and those will be set now. Those fee structures, the information for that and information on signups will be posted to our website. They'll also go out on Community Pass, I believe. So, even though it's mid-February, it's time to start thinking about the pools and signing up. So that information will be noticed to our residents. We are excited for this year. We are hopeful that we will not have the restrictions we had seen over the past few years with COVID. And we are, hoping and keeping our fingers crossed for a successful season. For general commentary, as Mr. Mancuso said, we will be introducing the budget next month. Be on the lookout for communications on that through the municipal messenger with details on what the proposed budget will entail. As he said, we are being pulled in a lot of different directions. Unfortunately, we are still feeling the impacts of COVID in terms of loss of revenue and shortfall. So I commend Mr. Mancuso along with Administrator Quinn and our CFO Fran DeAngelis for putting in so many hours to put together and draft a budget that is not only suitable for us, but for our residents, and kind of lessens the burden on us that so many other towns are actually facing. We are very fortunate to be in a financially stable municipality, and we are destined to keep it that way this year. So more to come on that. Lastly, I did just want to note and thank Buzz Kenny for all of his service on the Environmental Commission. We are definitely sad to see Buzz go. He has done an incredible job as chair of the EC. I worked with him and Kathy on introducing our plastic bag ban, single-use plastic bag ban ordinance a few years ago, which we were ahead of the state on. And I wish him all the best. I am certain we will be recognizing him in the future, and we will have to pick a date and time for that. But just wanted to thank Buzz for all of your work on behalf of the township. That is all I have. So I believe if there aren't any further comments from members of the committee, I will thank our participants and residents not only for their patience during our reports and commentary, but we'll also encourage you to provide a public comment should you have any questions or inquiries. So this is general public commentary. We do have 10 members of the public joining us this evening that are currently still on. That's up from 8 earlier. I do see one hand raised. I think that might be Patty Sims or another Sims, maybe not. I don't know. But before we open the mic up, I'll just do the blurb again. We now will open the meeting for the second public comment. For general commentary, please state your name and address for the record before speaking. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. If you have questions you would like answered, your remaining time to speak will be yielded back for this purpose. If that's Mrs. Sims, you are up.
Yes, hello, this is Pat Sims. I'm with the Marsh Township Office of Emergency Management, Emergency Services. And I would just like to say a thank you to the Marsh Township Committee for supporting us for our roses sale again this year. OEM and the FMBA would like to thank everyone in the public for supporting us again this year for our roses sale. It was a huge success and we were sold out an hour and a half early. So I'm hoping that everybody was happy with the roses this year. And again, would like to thank them. And I would also like to thank our FMBA and OEM members for everything they do every day. And also for helping putting this rose sale together, from putting out signs and for the sale or collecting signs and cleaning up. I'd like to thank everybody. So again, like I said, we'd just like to thank you for our support. Always be prepared, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Pat, and thank you to you and Greg for all your work continuing this tradition. I will say, a lot of times people do confuse it with a fire company, Hillside Fire Company initiative, but it's not. It's OEM, and and now they have partnered with the FMBA. So congratulations on another successful year. The roses were beautiful as always. Kelly loved them. I'm sure. I hope everyone else's significant other enjoyed them.
Fantastic.
They were gorgeous. Thank you, Pat. My wife loved them, and she's online listening in the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work, Pat, and for all your time volunteering, not only for OEM, but also the Ladies Auxiliary.
You're welcome. Enjoy doing it. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I see Lee Goldberg has his hand up. So, Mr. Goldberg, your full name and address for the record, please.
Lee Goldberg, 10 Arrowhead Road.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to participate tonight and for hosting another informative and educational meeting. Appreciate that. I should have probably asked this in the first commentary. I did have one question on an agenda item, just for some elaboration. So it was 4722. I'm noticing that it looks like we're repealing a policy manual or some sort of policy for the fire department that's been sort of on the books for 40 years. So just wondering, is that just an HR policy update, or what kind of policy are we replacing or updating?
It's basically modernizing the book.
Mr. Goldberg and Tim can fill in too where I miss off, but I will say this just from my experience being in the fire department. There's a lot of I guess technicalities, things that are quite frankly are just outdated in terms of titles and positions that exist, or standard operating procedures and things like that just need to be upgraded. And I'll let Mr. Quinn get into the details.
Right. It's not a HR policy, it's more of a operational policy. And in the 85 was rules and regulations, different policies. They've been changed over the years. And back in 2020, we did hire a firm to help us with this. It's more to also professionalize what our volunteer firefighters already do and our career firefighters do. But although they do it and they do it well, this puts those policies in place of what they do and how they do things. It's been an initiative of Chief Nunn since he came on board to do those policies and bring them up to today's firefighting standards.
Great. Thank you for elaborating on that. I'm sure it's a much needed and welcomed change. So thank you for elaborating on that. And I also appreciate Mr. Mayor Gyorfy bringing up the woods in Madison, which triggered a thought or question I had. I don't know if there's any update that can be provided on the sort of work that may or may not happen at some point in the future along Punch Bowl Road for the track to be developed there, whether in Florham Park or in Morris Township. Has there been any noise at all or anything anyone come forward about anything imminently happening on that long track of woods along Punch Bowl?
Tim, did you want to answer that, or Mr. Mills?
I can do that.
Okay.
The one that's in Morris Township, there's been no activity for the section that is in Morris Township. That's part of our declaratory judgment settlement for that section. So we're waiting for the sisters to let us know who the developer is going to be.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question is, I'm sure you're probably limited as to what you can or can't say, but just for purposes of the public, I know there's been a lot of attention or sort of noise just locally around the development with the litigation from Fair Share Housing related to the Red Bull site. I mean, is there anything at all, just 30,000-foot treetops you can provide in terms of that, it's in litigation and we'll get an update later? Or is there any, there didn't seem to be any sort of, I know you're limited probably what you can say, but is there anything you can share with the public at all?
Do you want to let Mr. Cantor respond?
All right,
Thank you, Mayor. So, Mr. Gold, there's really not much we could add now. It's a newly filed complaint. We're reviewing it. We're taking under advisement. Obviously, the complaint's a public record, and Fair Share Housing is looking to invalidate the ordinance. But other than that, we're still kind of going over it, and we'll come up with a strategy. And anything we could let the public know, we certainly will. But at this point, it's a new litigation, and we everything's attorney-client privilege at this point.
All right, thank you very much. And to Mayor Gyorfy's point about the IT infrastructure and upgrades to support sort of a hybrid approach on these meetings, thank you for that update. I think the township has done a phenomenal job throughout this entire past 2 years of making all sorts of meetings available and accessible and easily accessible to the public. I've personally been able to attend many of them, and there's rarely been a technical glitch or something that's sent things going south. So I appreciate all the efforts of this committee and our employees down at Town Hall who bring this service to us. So thank you very much for that. And it's good to see all of your faces tonight. And congratulations, Mr. Gyorfy, on becoming mayor. Wish you all the best of success and good health and fortune in the role in the upcoming year. Same to you, Deputy Mayor, and to the entire Township Committee. Thank you for your time and attention on behalf of us all. And pleased to see Mr. Mills on the call this evening. It's been quite some time since I've seen Mr. Mills, but good to see you, and look forward to meetings in the upcoming future, and hopefully being back down at Town Hall at some time in the not too distant future. And thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg.
Thank you, Mr. Goldberg. And yeah, just
Thank you.
to follow up still, as we understand the hybrid is the future. We've set the precedent already, and we'll have to continue it. And it's like I said, we have to make sure we have equal opportunity for folks who want to be in person just as much as those who are not comfortable coming in person. So we'll be making those investments, and we look forward to switching over in the near future. Was Mr. O'Reilly up or Miss McKay with Jeannie? I'm not sure. I thought Jeannie's hand was up, so I'll recognize Jeannie, and then I'll go to Mr. O'Reilly.
She has to unmute.
Jeannie, I think you have to unmute yourself. I'll give it a little bit. I know sometimes there's a delay.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Can you,
Yes.
Jeannie, just say your full name and address in the record for us, please?
Okay, Jeannie McKay, 10 Walnut Street, Morristown, New Jersey.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, all, and I want to thank you all for the proclamation for honoring Black History Month. And I just have a quick question. I logged in late. Did I miss, because I noticed you're on the second public comment. Did I miss the consent calendar section?
Yes, we approved everything on the consent calendar.
Okay, because I logged in case you had any questions about number 6, the approval of the Conzo playground. But I guess I'm too late, but I was gonna log in if you had any questions about the event. But thank you for approving it.
No, we
We'll tell you
appreciate
we're
it.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're
Okay.
very much looking forward to it, and thanks for coming on to answer any questions we have, and we'll certainly reach out if we have any follow-ups, but we wish you nothing but the best and for a successful event.
Okay, great. I'm gonna have to, I guess, do I have to contact you, Mr. Quinn, to make the meetings with the police department, the fire department, and all those other health department? Do I need to contact you for those meetings?
Yes, ma'am, I'm happy to coordinate that.
Okay, all right, thank you. Have a great night, all.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, good night.
Good night. Mr. O'Reilly and then Mrs. Memmer. And Mr. O'Reilly, you're on if you can unmute. There you go.
Yeah, I had unmuted before, but I guess I got muted in the meantime. Well, anyway, I appreciate your concern for the woods and I also for Black Lives Matter. 2 minor points. When Kathy was talking, and I heard her, nevertheless, her picture showed the mute symbol on the corner.
Yeah, Mr. O'Reilly. So like I said before, when we're in the meeting room, we're speaking to a microphone that's hooked up to technically Mark Daly's computer. So Kathy's video is through her account on her computer. So that's why, right now it says Catherine Wilson has the mute symbol because that's her video feed only. Her audio is through a different computer.
Thank you. The other point was consent calendar item number 1. You recuse yourself from the item on the resolutions having to do with the fire department, but evidently you don't need to do so on the consent calendar. How does that work?
It's administrative. This is accepting a new member into the fire department as a volunteer. This is not a formal interview process or a personnel. Mr. Quinn, go ahead.
Basically, Mark, you do recuse yourself on anything that deals with the function of the fire department or that has a financial aspect to it. This is just bringing out a new member, not operation of the fire department.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Reilly. Appreciate it. Mrs. Memmer?
She needs to unmute.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It wasn't my mute symbol was not showing for a while. Anyway, my name is Marlene Memmer, 63 Independence Way. Good evening to all. I have a few questions from last month's agenda. And the reason for that is that I did not get a chance to read the full resolutions last month. And I went through them, after the meeting. The township retains a number of law firms for specific services. I noted that there were 2 resolutions for special counsel. I see that resolution 2522, which is Bush and Law Group, they will serve as special counsel to the Morris Township Police Department. The resolution also mentions that they will also provide general legal services. Will this also be for the police department? Was my question on that one.
I'll answer that one. That's primarily for personnel matters within the police department that Mr. Bush was retained.
Okay, thank you very much. There were 2 firms listed for tax appeals.
Resolution 30-22 relates to areas of corporate tax appeals. There is another resolution 2722. Does that one relate to residential? That was Mr. Lloyd. Was that that resolution, does that relate to residential tax appeals?
Mr. Lloyd is our primary tax appeal attorney, does both commercial and residential.
Okay, thank you very much.
At times, Mr. Lloyd's firm may have a conflict with a certain business that's in Morris Township, and so he cannot defend our tax appeal for that property, so we have to bring somebody else in because
I see. That's the conflict.
Yes.
As it's listed there in the
firm
agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, and the next one has to do with the setting the fees for the off-duty use of the fire apparatus and utility truck, and the private duty fees for the services of career division firefighters. Can you give me examples as to what type of, functions those, the fire apparatus or the trucks are used for that would be considered off-duty?
Yes, ma'am. That would be if there was a special event in which they required to have a firefighter on duty, such as a fireworks display or something like that. But they're primarily used as like the corporate office building has to take its fire alarm out of service. Their insurance requirements have to have some type of fire protection. So they hire a firefighter and a piece of apparatus, but for insurance purposes and for payment, it goes through the township. Then we pay the firefighter and we get reimbursed by the company plus an administrative fee.
Okay, good. Thank you. As I was looking at that resolution, another thing popped into my head as to, I don't know the personnel that are firefighters, and I was wondering, do we have any female firefighters on our staff in the
Yes.
township? We do? And
Yes, we have,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
we have two career professional firefighters. We are happy to have them, and they serve before being paid professionals. They were volunteers with our department.
Okay, and what is the balance of the career versus the volunteer? Like, is there a number? How many career firefighters do we have versus the number of volunteers do we have? I don't know that. I was thinking that I should know that information.
Do you have the number?
Yes, I do. It's approximately, we have 20 career firefighters and we have approximately 60 active volunteer firefighters.
60, wow, that's a good number. Very good. And I'm going to ask the same question of relating to Resolution 5222 regarding the fees for the police department. Again, what events would require these services? A few examples of that.
Private security details or road construction projects. So when you see the road construction projects being done, that's not taxpayer money for those police officers. The developer, the contractor is paying for that. If there's special events that require security, then they go through our police department to hire the off-duty police officers.
Okay, very good. And I just have one last item here, and I hope I'm not extending my time here. But I drive by Madison Avenue, and I see that the Abbey is cordoned off. What's happening there?
It's under reconstruction.
Right, but at what stage are we? Is it?
I don't think we anticipate it opening till early next year or late this. They have a significant amount of work. Yeah, they have to renovate the existing structure and build a whole new structure. And as you may know, they're paying close attention to detail of the historic elements of the building. So that may, factor into the timeline there.
And have they taken down any portion of that building at this point, or that still needs to be done?
I'm not sure. But we can follow up with you on that, Marlene.
Okay, thank you very much. That was it for this evening. Thank you very much again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Molly.
Seeing no further hands raised, is there a motion to close public comment period?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and the only thing left is adjournment. It's now 8:15 PM. And may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The next Township Committee meeting will be held on Wednesday, March 16th, 2022 at 7 PM via Zoom with closed session at 5:30. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Everyone, good night.
Good night.